Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. AMC Stock is up about 4% today, seeing some very encouraging things on a technical basis. I also want to go over a tweet that Adam Aaron put out about starting their own craft beer. And then last but not least, we do have the filings from Citadel, the 13F filings. Citadel is net long on AMC now, about 3 million plus shares. You're also seeing banks such as Morgan Stanley owning millions of shares of AMC. No protection, no puts, no calls, just owning millions of shares of AMC and increasing their position by over 200% in this last quarter. So I do want to go over all of that information with you. On top of it, I guess that wasn't last and least, but the Fed. The markets are literally doing nothing heading into Fed Jerome Powell. Doing nothing at all. The Fed is going to be very, very important, and that will be coming out here in about an hour and a half. You're going to get the summary of economic projection. So let's go ahead and get into all of this information. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. This coffee's kind of giving me heartburn here. Down below in the comment section. If you guys want to come trade with us live in real time as well, link down below. So first things first, AMC stock pretty volatile today. A lot of small cap stocks doing pretty well. I think this is because, you know, the markets are under this narrative that the Fed is going to be a little bit more dovish than maybe he was before. That we're probably not going to get any more rate hikes. Small cap stocks should do well as long as the Fed does not forecast a recession in the summary of economic projection. So if the Fed does forecast that we could be heading into a recession right now, well, that's not going to be great. And that's something you definitely need to be looking for on the summary of economic projections. Like I said before, the thing that really matters with the summary of economic projections is going to be, let's go ahead and pull it up. It's going to be 2024 for one. 2023 is over. It doesn't matter. But it's the GDP estimate and the Fed funds rate projection. If the Fed funds rate projection comes down a lot, and the GDP expectation comes down a lot, well, that's basically saying we're going into recession. If the GDP stays roughly the same as what we were previously expecting, around 1.1%, but inflation comes down to call it 2.2%, and the federal funds rate comes down to 4%, that might just be saying, hey, the Fed thinks they're going to accomplish their goals in 2024, and by their GDP estimate, they don't expect a recession, and they expect lower interest rates. That would be your best case scenario for small cap stocks for the broader markets. I doubt that's going to happen, but it is a possibility that you should definitely at least keep on your radar. Now, as far as AMC stock in specific, let's start with some of the technicals here. Now, the technicals are pretty dang bullish. This 8-day moving average has been a major level in which AMC has gotten disrespected at quite a few times. Now, you've basically been following this, and it's been forming a U-shaped pattern. And look at the precise way AMC stock has been following this. It formed a U-shaped kind of bottom, and so has AMC stock. You're starting to trend upwards today, and take a look at that. You bounced literally right on the 8-day moving average, and you're above that. I doubt this. Well, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say I doubt this changes by the end of the day, but it really just depends on what the Fed gives us, right? So if we hold this rally throughout the rest of the day today, as long as we don't get bad news on AMC, company-specific bad news, we should be doing pretty well to continue this upside move. Now, if you look at other factors like the RSI, that is at 29.13, you've been oversold for the longest period of time we have ever been oversold with AMC throughout this whole squeeze trade scenario. So now I expect when you break back above 30 and get back into a normal range, right, between 30 and 70, you're probably going to see quite the rally off of that as well on an algorithmic kind of basis, right? The trading programs would actually buy AMC stock. Now, the MACD as well, this yellow line has been above the blue line ever since September 13th. This is short-term bullish. Now, you're obviously bearish overall because you're still way down here. You're not at a positive MACD, but you're making moves towards that direction. Now, on average, when the MACD does go from negative to positive, you can go to about 12 on the MACD. So a move to 12 on the MACD could put us back in the, $30 to even $40 range. That is a possibility. Now, I would like to point out again, average analyst price targets around $20 per share. That's a lot lower than where we are today at $8.58. The markets, well, AMC, tends to get above analyst price targets and stay above analyst price targets. So the fact you're under that right now, when we do get a rally, you could easily break through $20 per share and head to that, $30, $40 a share level. And just keep in mind, you're still lower than where you were in January. Your low in January on the split adjusted basis is about $11 per share, give or take a couple cents there. So you're still pretty dramatically under January levels, and the business itself is in a much better spot. I know there's been a lot of dilution, things of that nature, but still on the actual, market cap basis, you're still lower now than you were back in January. I don't think that is warranted no matter what has happened with AMC stock as of recently. So there is that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these filings as well for AMC. So if we take a look at these filings, Citadel, this is interesting. They increased their share position in AMC. Remember the last filing? Some of you guys might remember this. They only owned about 70,000 shares of AMC. They increased their holdings almost 500%. Now they own 423,000 shares, almost 424,000 shares. And then look at their options. So Citadel has calls totaling 7.1 million shares. That would be 7,000 options. Or 70,000 options. Let me go ahead and put this in the calculator real quick. Yeah, that'd be 71,000 options that Citadel currently has on AMC. Citadel also has a put position worth 4.2 million shares. So they're net long in options, about 3 million shares of AMC. If you add the other, 500 or so thousand, 400 so thousand shares, they're almost net 3.5 million shares long on AMC, which is a lot different than what we have seen in times recently. And I think that just goes to show, if Citadel is getting bullish on AMC, then I think you should be bullish on AMC. Now, thinking you should be bullish on AMC, buying the stock, making a trade, that's a lot different. I'm obviously not a financial advisor, so come to your own conclusions. There's, a lot of potential outcomes with AMC, and you never know ultimately what is going to happen with this stock. So do go ahead and keep that in mind. Now, Morgan Stanley, they have increased their position by 232%. They now own about 3 million shares worth of AMC, and it does not look like there is any puts or calls at all here on AMC stock. So I find that pretty interesting as well. A really good sign, right? And after all, why would you be buying puts on AMC stock right now when the stock has fallen this much? Why would you be shorting AMC stock when the stock has fallen this much? Who knows? And Morgan Stanley and Citadel could have massive short positions on AMC stock. You never really know, but based on what we're seeing here, they look pretty bullish. Now, Bank of America, they increased their share position by about 110%, so added about 1.4 million shares of AMC, today owning about 2.85 million shares. Bank of America, did increase their call position by about 3%, owning 10.3 million shares worth of AMC via the calls. And on the put side, Bank of America increased their put position by 435%, now owning exposure to 3.5 million puts of shares of AMC. So net, even Bank of America is long on AMC about 10 million shares. I mean, you're starting to see the trend here. Your big financial players are net long on AMC quite a bit. Look at Jane Street Group. They have a call position of 10.2 million shares. Increased that 92% in the last quarter. Look at their share position, 6 million shares. They increased that by 2,500% in the latest quarter. Their put position, they actually reduced that by 2.31%, owning exposure to 3 million shares. So all in all, when you net this out, they have exposure to about 13 million shares of AMC on the long side. Absolutely insane, right? These financial institutions are far from being bearish on AMC stock as of right now. Why this is important is because, I mean, these individuals, they have the best information, right? They have your up-to-date information on AMC. They could call up Adam Aron if they wanted to, and he would answer the phone. Like, you know, it's pretty simple in that regard. So I like to pay attention to these. You know, you obviously don't have to, but I like to. So that's something I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, Adam Aron said just recently, he says, "We are halfway through my Twitter poll on AMC branded fine wine, with 68% of you saying going for it, of you saying go for it. Getting many responses from you about our doing an AMC branded craft beer at our theaters as well. We are liking the name Great Ape Al. What do you think?" About 60% of individuals say to do it. 11.4% say do it with another name. And 28.8% say not a good idea. So looks like 71.2% of individuals are saying to actually go ahead and do a craft beer as well. So pretty interesting. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have to AMC's numbers. Now, obviously, if this were to be a brand that were sold in stores, that would be good, but it doesn't look like it's going to be sold in stores or anything. It's not going to be hitting Walmart shelves anytime soon. From what I got out of it, is it's going to be sold at AMC theaters, which is great. I don't know how much of an impact that's actually going to have to AMC's numbers, but I think it's cool that the company is still taking the steps in the right direction to kind of do something. A company doing something is better than a company not doing anything at all. So keep that in mind really, really forever. That was a golden nugget right there. Now, let's take a look at some of the numbers here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. Again, you want to be watching what the Fed has to say. If you guys want to come trade with us live in real time, get access to this information as soon as it comes out. I will be dropping that information, that summary of economic projections, literally right away for you. So you're going to get that information as quick as possible. Now, we have a live short interest of free float. It says 11.95% and 23.64 million shares that are currently sold short. We don't have cost to borrow fees as of today. Earlier in the day, it looked like 3.38%. Cost to borrow max at 5.1%. Cost to borrow average at 4.37%. Cost to borrow minimum at 3.54%. So some pretty low numbers basically across the board. Puts call ratio is continuing to decline at 1.22, which is way off of the highs that we've seen at 1.8. So that's pretty encouraging as well. But you never really ultimately know what's going on. The data is very much lagged and delayed. Now, if we look at the Stonko tracker data, what we're seeing for this Friday, if we go ahead and refresh this page, a lot more calls currently in the money. As I went over in the last video, there's a lot of your option activity that's held just outside the money. It looks like the 850 did go into the money today on the call side. At the $9 call, you do have about 17,000 for open interest. Then you have 6,300, 7,600, 3,000, 4,000, 3,000, 4,000. So you do have quite a bit of option activity on the call side. If we do start to get that uptick in the markets, maybe because the Fed or whatever else, well, that's going to be positive for AMC as well. And that could fuel a lot more calls to go into the money, could fuel a lot more upside in the stock. Now, calls in the money at 32,508, calls out the money 73,000, puts in the money 10,323, puts out the money 136,000. So some very healthy numbers here. And we'll ultimately see. I think there's going to be a lot more positioning and, again, option activity after we do hear from Fed Jerome Powell, guys. So that is pretty much going to do it for this video. That is everything you need to know. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.